So I wanted to give my thoughts on the James Wan movie Aquaman that came out around Christmas of last year. So relatively new. Um, I can't believe this movie made $1 billion, over $1 billion. Sorry. So this is actually quite crazy. So when I first heard about Aquaman, I was skeptical, like most others. Wasn't quite sure how they were going to pull it off. They never really did anything when it comes to Atlantis and exploring that mythology. So I, like many people, were kind of like, well, let's see what they have. So I remember when the first trailer came out, it was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Some of the special effects you could tell weren't fully completed, but the overall theme of the movie, the visuals, it just seemed like a really fun, action-packed movie just based off the trailers. And really, that's what it is. It's just a fun, action-packed movie. There really isn't much depth to this movie, I would say. And who would come to watch a movie labeled Aquaman and expect Shakespearean acting and whatever. So, just to go over the cast, you have Jason Momoa. He plays Aquaman, or Arthur Curry. As most people know him from, he was in Game of Thrones. That's kind of his most prominent role until Aquaman. Next we have Amber Heard. She's Mira. She is the love interest to Jason Momoa, but she's also the Queen of Atlantis, or later becomes the Queen of Atlantis. You have William Dafoe, who plays Nudis Vulko. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but William Dafoe is like a counselor. He's a mentor to Arthur. You have Patrick Wilson, who plays Orm Marius, also known as Ocean Master. Dolph Lundgren as Nereus, sorry. He's the king of one of the tribes of the Atlantean people. You have Zaya Abdul-Mateen II, who plays David Kane, or Black Manta. And then you have Nicole Kidman, who plays Atlanta, who is the Queen of Atlantis. Some weird names. But, so that's pretty much a rundown of the cast. So as you can tell, there's some pretty big names in here, or at least familiar ones, people that you've definitely heard of over the years. And also, so I guess the first thing I have to say about Aquaman is, like I said before, it was a lot better than I expected it to be. The visuals themselves are really good. It's really action-packed. It has a lot of, it has a lot of cool visuals. And, it's just a ridiculous over-the-top movie. And I've seen a lot of critics, or a lot of people that review movies. I've read through some of the comments. I've read through some of the pieces that they put together, commenting on what they didn't like about the movie. And in my honest opinion, I mean, this movie is supposed to be like over the top. It's supposed to be like a wild ride. I mean, there's a part in this movie where there's an octopus playing the drums. So, I mean, if you don't know this movie is going to be crazy, it's kind of like expected that, hey, this movie is going to be a wild ride. It's going to be over the top. I mean, they even have him come out in the old Aquaman suit. I mean, Ocean Master, who he plays, or he actually calls himself Ocean Master in the movie and has that helmet that he actually has in the comics. So that's the one thing I actually do like about this movie. Just a sidetrack. They stay very comics accurate to most of the characters. Not all of them, but most of the looks. Like Black Manta looks like Black Manta from the comics. The whole funny helmet, the whole suit of armor. They don't really change it up that much. It looks almost identical to how it's drawn in the comic books. And that's a good thing. I mean, for me personally. I mean, when I want to see a superhero movie, I want to see a superhero movie. I'm not looking for realism in my superhero movies. I want over the top, you know, just like a wild ride. So I mean, to go over like the acting, Jason Momoa does a good job as Aquaman. He doesn't play that much different of a role than he did in Justice League. If anyone saw that movie, he was like Aqua Bro. He's kind of like a wild guy, like a bad boy. Kind of like what women would find attractive when it comes to like a bad boy. He's big, he's muscular. He doesn't take any crap. He's kind of like the alpha dog. So, and he's kind of a little bit of a drunk. He seems to drink a lot, but he's Aquaman, so who cares? But yeah, he does a good job. I can't. That is his character. Like that is Jason Momoa is not really acting. That's just his character. And, he's a very charismatic guy. He does. The only thing I would say is that some of the dialogue itself is kind of bad, and a lot of the jokes fall flat. Even with Jason Momoa delivering them, some of them are just not funny. So that's more of the screenwriting issues or the plot or the writing issues than really the acting itself. If you've seen Jason Momoa in interviews, just talking in real life, that's pretty much what you're going to get from Aquaman. Amber Heard is Mira. Amber Heard does a good job. She's been in a couple of movies. To me, there's nothing that really stands out about Amber Heard, except for, obviously she's a very good-looking woman. And I think that's one of the things that makes this movie very successful. You have two very good-looking leads in Jason Momoa and Amber Heard. However, though, I didn't think that there was much chemistry between them. That's the one thing I really don't like about movies is that they don't have to force. I really wish they would stop trying to force like a love or romantic angle on certain things. It's not really necessary. With this movie, I didn't really see it like there really was. It seemed more of like two people coming together to face a threat than, them falling in love and them fighting against, this impending threat. But that's just my opinion on it. William Dafoe does a good job. Patrick Wilson, I actually really liked as Ocean Master. Yes, he was over the top, but you could tell he was having fun with the role. And, Ocean Master or Orm or whatever you want to call him, like he is an over the top character. So I think Patrick Wilson does a really good job. The only thing that's kind of weird is that Jason Momoa or Aquaman is supposed to be older than Patrick Wilson in this movie, because Patrick Wilson's supposed to play his younger brother, but Patrick Wilson looks older. So that was kind of weird. And also, I think it was kind of odd is that Patrick Wilson looks like what you would think Aquaman would traditionally look like how he's been, done in the comics. And, it's kind of just weird seeing him as Orm and then seeing, this new Jason Momoa as the Aquaman. So that's kind of an interesting thing too. Dolph Lundgren does a good job. Nothing much I could say about that. His role in the movie is not that big. He is there throughout a couple of small like key parts of the movie, but he doesn't have a huge role in it. Black Manta, he's actually in the movie a lot more than I thought he was going to be, and it's a little bit different. I know in the comics Black Manta's supposed to be an Atlantean, but in the movie they made him a human and he's just a pirate. So that was a little bit different. He's more like a mercenary pirate. And then you have Nicole Kidman, who does a good job as Atlanta. So I keep thinking Atlanta when I see her name, but she does a good job, So, so in the beginning of the movie, pretty much she's trying to escape from having to marry. Like she's on an arranged marriage. She's supposed to be married to this guy who's going to be king. She escapes, goes into the land, finds this guy who is a fisherman. They end up falling in love, I guess, even though you don't really see much of it. You just kind of see her not knowing where the crap she is. But they end up falling in love. They end up having Arthur. And the Atlanteans end up finding her, and they try to capture her, but she leaves, and she says, hey, me being here is going to be a threat to Arthur and you, Arthur's dad. So she decides to leave. So she goes back to Atlanta. She goes back to the ocean, pretty much. And, that's the beginning of the movie. I won't go by play-by-play of the whole movie. But pretty much the big pieces is that it shows how they met. It shows a scene of Arthur being able to control the fish. So that scene in the trailer where you see, the kids are picking on him. And then in the... when the kids are picking on him and, he has a shark, brush up against the glass and the kids freak out. That's in it too. So that's kind of cool that he can, communicate with the fish. A lot of the movie, though, was the most of the movie is just Arthur and Mira going around different locations trying to find this trident. It's supposed to be a mythical trident, and whoever has this trident is supposed to be the king of, the king of the oceans, pretty much. So I guess the real ocean master. So most of the movie is just them going around trying to find this thing. William Dafoe, gives a little bit of help, and Patrick Wilson is the enemy. And also, the one thing about Patrick Wilson is that you kind of buy why he wants to start a war. So the whole thing is that he wants to unite the 7 kingdoms of the sea, or Atlantis, pretty much. The Atlantean 7 kingdoms. So that he can start a war with the surface world, or Earth. The people that live on land. And it just goes, and in a way you kind of understand why he does, because there's a part in the movie that's kind of interesting where he throws back a lot of the crap that people have been putting into the ocean, or humans, I guess. And you see how much crap we really put into the oceans. And this is not an environmental podcast or whatever, but in a way you could understand why he wants to start a war, because we're pretty much polluting his kingdom, or his land, not land, but his kingdom. So in a way, it's kind of justifiable as to why he wants to, hey, you guys are polluting, you guys are destroying everything, this needs to stop, and if it doesn't, then we're just going to wipe you out. And also, he's just a megalomaniac, so he wants power. so that goes hand in hand, but it's quite interesting. So, there's nothing really much I want to spoil about this movie. I've gone over some of the parts. The scene in the trailer where Mira and Aquaman are trying to escape, they're running on top of, Mira's running on top of a building, and the Atlantean soldiers are chasing her. That's in the movie. That's really cool. That shot really well. The last act 2 is really cool. I think it's pretty cool. It's just all out craziness. And I really have to give much respect to James Wan, because he pulled it off. Because this is a hard movie to make. And the one thing I also have to give respect to is that he stuck very faithfully to the source material, the costumes, the over the top storylines. He just went in. He just decided, hey, this is going to be a crazy wild ride, and he just did it. And I think he did a really good job at it. The only thing that I would change is the script. Some of the lines, like I said, were really bad, kind of cringy. Some of the jokes themselves, I didn't really laugh at any of the jokes. I think one or two were pretty good, but other than that, a lot of jokes didn't hit for me. The chemistry between Jason Momoa and Amber Heard really isn't there. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with that. I mean, individually, they're great characters. Like, I really like Mira's powers because she's able to manipulate water in a way that's very interesting. So, like, she can form weapons with water. She can do a lot of cool things, and I would love to see more of her power set explored, because I think she actually has a very interesting power set. And the one thing another thing I like about this movie is that, she did hold her own. So she fought really well. Aquaman fought really well. And I love the part with Black Manta. So there is a part, this is kind of a spoiler, where Black Manta shows up and he pretty much beats the crap out of Aquaman. He he messes him up good. So, but I love the suit. I love the Black Manta suit, and I just like the way the visuals of him firing the beams out of his eyes. It's just cool to me. The only thing I didn't really care much about was the guy playing Black Manta. Like, I didn't really care too much about his character. He's kind of a bad guy in the beginning. He's not really that sympathetic, in my opinion. And then he just becomes a bigger dick throughout the whole movie. And I guess you can understand why he's out for revenge, because, another spoiler, Aquaman, Black Manta and his father and a couple of other mercenaries go onto the submarine and, kill a few people to take it over. Aquaman comes in, he beats up the mercenaries, and then he's fighting with the father and Black Manta, and the father gets stuck under something. I forgot exactly what he gets stuck under. And, Aquaman or Jason Momoa could save the guy, and he decides not to. He decides to leave them to their own fate. And obviously Black Manta's father dies. Black Manta escapes. He gets angry because he thought that, Aquaman could have saved them. So he's pretty much out for revenge. Another cool thing is the Atlantean technology. The weapons that they have are really interesting. And I would like for them to explore that in the sequel, because there is going to be a sequel since this movie has made so much money. Also, I would like for the script to be a little bit better. If you can't make good jokes, don't put them in there. Just make it more serious if need be. But, at this time, like I said, if you like comic books and if you like ridiculousness, then you'll like Aquaman. I mean, it has it all. It's over the top, and it's supposed to be. And I like it because it's over the top. Some people are not going to like this movie because it's too ridiculous for them. But that's something that you have to, you have to decide for yourself. Because it's not really like a Marvel movie. Because, even Marvel movies, as ridiculous as sometimes they can be, they're more grounded in a more realistic, as realistic as possible, approach to things. And even though you have so many different offshoots, like, you have the, Black Panther's world of Wakanda, and then you have, Guardians of the Galaxy, it's still cohesive. Like, it's still believable that, hey, there could be a universe where Wakanda exists, and also Peter Quill exists, in going through the galaxy. So that's one thing that Marvel does really well. And I think that, Aquaman's a good building block. Obviously DC's not been doing too well with, Batman vs. Superman and also Justice League were really huge underperformers. So, Wonder Woman was really good. A lot of people crap on the third act. I thought it was okay. It wasn't the greatest. But I did like the fight between her and Ares at the end. Thought it could have been better, actually. So that's something they could definitely improve on is, just the last fighting. Because the other fights were really good. But the last fight, I was expecting more, and it didn't really live up to the hype. Especially the way that they were hyping up this, Ares as like the ultimate, bad guy, and he got taken down pretty easily. And then, after Wonder Woman, you had a string of the other movies that didn't do too well, and now you have Aquaman. So I'm not sure how Shazam is going to do. I know that's the next movie up. We'll see. I can't really even say if it's not going to make $1 billion anymore, because I never could have imagined Aquaman making over $1 billion. So we'll see how Shazam goes. But I think, DC is starting to build a very good universe, I guess. If they can get Shazam right, if, Wonder Woman, the next Wonder Woman is really good also. I know the Birds of Prey movie, if that's really good also, then they can turn themselves around. Because they really had 3 big duds. They had, like I said, Justice League, Batman vs. Superman, and then Suicide Squad. And they all came out at, back to back. And, they were just pretty bad movies. In my opinion, I didn't really like any of them. I think I was most disappointed, though, in all honesty, by Suicide Squad. I was really looking forward to seeing that movie, and it really disappointed me. The only things I liked out of that movie was, Deadshot, and Harley Quinn. Everything else is kind of throwaway. And also I did like, Viola Davis, his character as well. Amanda Waller was pretty good too. But everything else was throwaway in my opinion, in that movie. But, that's just my thoughts on Aquaman. So, I'm looking forward to Shazam, and I hope this is a start. I really hope DC turns this around, and, I don't think they'll ever be as successful as Marvel, but I think, if they can get the right talent, and if they can really stick to a story that's cohesive, I think, they could at least be a number 2. A decent competitor to Marvel.